So this is the 22 hours GMT edition of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, broadcasting under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo editions on Monday the 20th of March 2023. Monday the 20th of March 2023. So among the most recent updates, topics included in this edition, of course, featuring the congenital liar, the depraved liar, the evilness, Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is being given platform by the Guardian, behaving like the Daily Mail. The Guardian is repeatedly faking it to give the appearance that Boris Johnson's so-called allies have any factual evidential credibility. Johnson is due to appear before the 7 MPs who constitute the House of Commons Privileges Committee at 1400 hours GMT on Wednesday, the 22nd of March. And in preparation for that, Johnson is being given unprecedented platform by the Guardian. And this professional licensed law trader, Panic, Panick, is appearing for Johnson. And the Guardian has got a piece about Panic, timed at 1950 GMT. And its caption to the picture it's running of Panic is, Panic has been described by colleagues as having the ability to dazzle the court into submission. When Boris Johnson needed help in his battle with the Commons Privileges Committee over Partygate, he turned to the terrific, punchy advocate, Lord Panic, KC. Now, this is sick-makingly stupid and pathetic, oozing with praise for this liar. It says, the esteemed barrister, fuck off. Boasts an illustrious career, he doesn't. He is an exposed, proven liar. And it just gets worse. It says, the esteemed barrister boasts an illustrious career, having represented a number of high-profile clients. Now, this is stupid. I mean, this list is embarrassing, including Queen Elizabeth II, former BBC Director General Mark Thompson, Shamima Begum, and an ally of Vladimir Putin. What the fuck? What the fuck? This doesn't make any factual sense at all. From a young age, Panic developed an interest in debating. Fuck him. What has happened is that Panic is a proven prostitute of a lawyer, because he was prepared to appear for anyone who would pay him. Fuck off, the fucking Guardian. Stupid moron. Well, there is a bit of admission, the £5,000 an hour for his services. Now, what is Johnson doing apart from hiring the corrupt, licensed law trading prostitute? Is not really carrying any substance at all. Let's check where the and this heading in the Sky News. Well, in this report, there is no mention, there is no occurrence of the word truth. And there is no occurrence of the word transparency. There is no mention of the word accountability. So the whole thing is a complete joke. And the Guardian is saying on the top of the internet page, support the Guardian, fearless, independent. Reader find it's not fearless, most certainly. Not independent at all. All right, this is the political sketch by John Crace about Johnson. It's posted at 17:16 GMT on Monday, the 20th of March 2023. Now, this is the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. Now, Baby Angel Geronimo has been witnessing the complete and utter life of depravity, evilness, and lying by the depraved liar Boris Johnson. And Baby Angel Geronimo will publish substantial parts of the evidence as it happens during this week. Now, the heading to John Crace's political sketch is this: how Boris Johnson might sum up the contents of his Partygate dossier. He says, I, Boris Johnson, do solemnly declare the truth. Yes, I know this is a first, John Crace. Now, I, Boris Johnson, do solemnly declare that what is in my dossier, the dossier which is mine, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Let's hope that there isn't one. Or I'm a gonna, he says, John Crace. Yes, I know this is a first and that I've told a lot of porkies in the past, but I really, really promise that what you are getting from me this time is the truth, as agreed with my advisors, which might look like lies, but are actually the highest form of truth. The truth of untruths, as two negatives equal a positive. So two lies equal the truth. Besides which, nobody thinks I'm a liar other than anyone who's ever met me. Although I accept I misled Parliament, it is categorically untrue to say I misled Parliament. As Prime Minister, I did my utmost to fulfill the solemn duty of office, namely, to say and do anything necessary to save what passes for my reputation and my job. So the facts are these: I may once or twice or again and again have misled Parliament about there being no parties or illegal gatherings in, in Downing Street. But at no time did I ever do so deliberately. Here is what happened. If I have a fault, it is that I am too trusting. Some might even call me a bit dim. When I said I had no knowledge of any parties, I was merely reading out what my special advisers had written for me. I had no idea if it was true or not. So, really, if there were lies in what they had written, they are the ones who are responsible. I was far too busy to have a clue as what was going on or to take ownership of my words. As Prime Minister, I had no idea that having a party was illegal, even though it had been me who had brought in the COVID legislation that had banned them. It had also never occurred to me that the same rules might actually apply to me. Yours truly has always considered himself to be an exception, nor did it occur to me that the advisers I had appointed for having a similar attitude to the truth as me might tell me to say something untrue in Parliament. At no point did we ever have a panic meeting, nor even a panic meeting. That is panic with the PANNICK. One is a panic with the PANIC, panic, and the other is a panic with the barrister, so called panic meeting with David in number 10, wondering how to get ourselves off the hook. Just for some reason, my advisors chose to write a script for me that contained lies. So, unlike them, and it was just my bad luck that I had to read it out without checking it first, because clearly I knew nothing about any parties except for the ones I went to, all of which means that though it was technically me who misled Parliament, those who should be judged for deliberately misleading Parliament are my special advisers, who I am now throwing to the wolves. The parties that were not parties, there has been a witch hunt against me. All the parties I have been to were not parties, they were work events. As such, I believed it was completely in order for me to do what I liked, besides which, Party Marty made all the arrangements. I just signed them off, like when everyone got pissed in the Downing Street garden. Kerry and I only went downstairs to join the party to make sure it was not a party and therefore allowed under the rules. Having satisfied ourselves everything was within the rules and that only a few people were lying face down in the flower beds, we went back up to our flat, ambushed by Cake, a clear attempt by Rishi Sunak to try to get me into trouble. I'm glad he also got a fixed penalty notice, as it was him who arranged for Kerry, Little, and other hangers on to wish me happy birthday. And I absolutely never said this is the most unsocially distanced party in the country. At Lee Kane's leaving do. I know that for a fact, even if I had, no one would have been able to hear a word over the karaoke, the throwing up in bins, the shagging in cupboards, and breaking wolves swing. And when I said take a case to the co-op, I was referring to Simon Case. I wouldn't labor this point, DP. That is David Panic saying in the brackets. Oops, mum's the word. Time to hit the panic button. That is panic, PANNIC, as in David Panic there. licensed law trader. Let's not mention the ABBA party, though it was a top night. Sugre. In the past, I may have referred to Sugre as an exemplary civil servant, someone of impeccable, impartial judgment, especially when she published her report that largely exonerated me of attending most of the parties that I went to. It was only right and proper she ignored much of the detail that was in the public domain and used her power sparingly. But now it's been brought to my attention that she is a commie spy who started talking to Keir Starmer long after her report had been completed. Then it is only right that her entire report should be discredited. She is a traitor to her country who was partially responsible for removing its world king. Harriet Harman, was there ever a more biased chair of the Privileges Committee? Had he dared to accuse me of lying on other matters even before the investigation had started? How how very dare she? Just because one is a liar, it doesn't follow that people should be free to say so, especially not when that person is prime minister. As leader of the country, it's sometimes necessary to say whatever is expedient, not least to wives, ex-wives, lovers, and children. So I now demand that Harman is replaced with someone whose judgment is faultless. I suggest Nadine Dorries. Make that Lady Dorries. Nadine also can be trusted to find me not guilty of misleading Parliament. The courts. There was a time when I encouraged the Daily Mail to regard judges as enemies of the people. I now see I was a little hasty. The Rigged Privileges Committee is not fit to judge me, having already lessened its burden of proof from deliberately to recklessly misleading Parliament, even though I am obviously guilty of both. But now I demand a jury trial at which no one will be able to convict me because there is no such offense on the statute book, which means I'll automatically get a not guilty. Boza gets away with it yet again. Hooray for me. Summary. I have never anything. I never done anything, and no one can prove I did. Fingers crossed. It's a bit of a long shot, but you never know. And when is my £250,000 fee getting paid? David Panic says, "Free the Boris one. You will never take me alive." So let's check what the latest on the net are saying. On the Telegraph website, there is a piece about number 10. There is Rishi Sunak hitting back at Nigel Farage. What is Farage saying? Number 10 hits back at Nigel Farage over Brexit remarks. Downing Street has hit back at Nigel Farage after Farage criticized Rishi Sunak's Windsor framework and claimed Brexit was still not been completed. Mr. Farage, the honorary president of Reform UK, used a press conference this morning to criticize the record of successive Tory governments. As he said, EU regulations have not been axed. Northern Ireland has been hived off, and our borders are as open as they have literally ever been. Nigel Farage said 3.5 years on, Brexit has not been completed. We are still under the jurisdiction of a foreign court in Strasbourg. Our borders are open as they have literally ever been. We have a high tax, big state, low growth, low productivity society, and our public services are fundamentally broken. Number 10 rejected the criticism and said Mr. Sunak's Brexit deal will fix long standing problems with border arrangements in Northern Ireland, while regulations made in Brussels have been reduced right down to the very minimum level. The Prime Minister's official spokesman told reporters, "We think this delivers on fixing the long standing problems which have hindered individuals and businesses and caused such problems both for Northern Ireland and the UK as a whole. With regards to EU regulations, that have been reduced right down to the very minimum level to ensure there is no border on the island of Ireland. And I think that it is the overriding priority of all parties in protecting and securing the Good Friday Agreement." You can follow the latest updates below. That is what the Telegraph website is saying. The DUP is critical of the Windsor framework as well. And this is up to date up to 4 o'clock, that is 1600 hours GMT on Monday, the 20th of March 2023. So we are looking at other items. The penny charges £5,000 an hour. I think it's more than what he charged the Manchester City when he represented them in a dispute with a European regulator, Manchester City Football Club. There's a cartoon on the Times website showing Boris Johnson shooting at targets with a gun carrying a flag called bias. Blasters last stand. Now, the item on the Times about the Ofsted and the report that a woman called Ruth Perry committed suicide after an adverse Ofsted report into her school in Berkshire. Now, this is reiterating the oft heard slogan that head teachers are under pressure, too much pressure. And Ruth Perry's reported suicide connected with the Ofsted report is going to be used to repeat the demand that Ofsted should be reformed or scrapped altogether. Now, which raises the question, when we campaigned in 1992 against the then grant-maintained school called Stratford School in Newham in East London, the London Collective of Black Governors is what I am referring to. The KhoodeelaarTV campaign as such wasn't there, but the principles were there. The London Collective of Black Governors, of which I am chairperson, against the excessive powers being assumed by Azadi. And the National Association of Teachers, which was represented at that time for too long, I think, by a racist called David Hart, fanatically promoted the myth that the head teachers were under pressure. Now, the London Collective of Black Governors was not something that I founded. I took it over democratically. And I took it over democratically at a meeting of black governors held in Camden. And I radicalized, in the most democratic, ethical way, its remit and representation and its profile, absolutely based on the evidence. And the evidence is that the secondary schools, which is what the references to schools head teachers actually involve, secondary schools in the UK are undemocratically operated. And despite the fact that there are governors, parent governors, and otherwise appointed governors on the school's governing bodies, the governors are really ignored by the head teacher who behaves, and the head teacher is allowed to behave as a dictator. And they, the head teacher, he or she, do whatever they like and they are not held to account. So if there is a crisis in the particular regime at Ofsted that needs to be replaced by something that is acceptable to their teachers' lobby, then this is voiced far more easily than the series of crises that afflict most schools and most secondary school regimes fronted by head teachers, man or woman. Our campaign actually rejects the call that it's only the Ofsted that is at fault. We say that all the head teachers are autocrats, and those who lobby for their teachers, like supporters of Boris Johnson being elevated to the point of allies. A congenital liar like Boris Johnson cannot have any allies. He can have stooges and co-wrongdoers. Allies is a morally less toxic word than colluders and co-conspirators, co-wrongdoers. In the school setup, in the secondary school setup, the head teacher reigns supreme. And to take the example of London, which is what I know more about than I know about the schools outside of London, although I know about the schools outside of London, but the extent to which I know the schools in London is far more in depth than the extent of my knowledge of schools outside of London. The London schools are run by head teachers who, by definition, are not accountable and, by definition, are treated as being exempt from accountability, which, by definition, gives them a sense of entitlement that nobody else is allowed to have. And all of this is to the detriment of the children, the pupils in the secondary schools, and in denial of the rightful say of the parents, guardians, well-wishers of the pupils that are on the rolls of the given school concerned. We shall be talking about all of those in due course. This is 44 minutes and the part A of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, and we shall be ending this particular edition at 23:08 hours GMT on Monday the 20th of March 2023.